Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be filming Riley's story again, which I did previously film it back in 2016 I think it was, but I was very shy and I was talking like very quietly which I think now like my confidence has grown on the camera, so I thought it would be better to film it again. And I think back then obviously YouTube was new to me, and my camera would cut off, and then I wouldn't know it cut off, and I'm just talking to a camera that's not recorded. So yeah, which this one obviously I've got a better camera, a better setup now, so yeah, I thought I would just retell his story in like a better way. So if you don't know, Riley is my first pregnancy slash first child that I ever had. So I've got 4 children now. Obviously there's Riley in heaven, and then I've got 3 girls here with me. So basically, so we'll start from like the beginning, should we say. So I think I found out I was pregnant back in I think it was May 2014. I think that was around the time that I found out I was pregnant. I think it was around that time, because he was due I think the 22nd of January, it would have been 2015. So I found out I was pregnant. Me and Ryan was together at that point about 4 years, and we've been wanting, at that point we was wanting a baby for like a couple of years then. So was actively like trying and waiting, and then eventually and like personally I never thought it was going to happen because when you want something so bad, and you know if you struggle to conceive, you know, like every month, and then you take the test and then it's negative, and then you just feel more and more deflated as time goes on. So I think it's just at one point I just thought it's never going to happen. Obviously we're still trying, but not really thinking about it, and I think that's when it happens the most. It's kind of when you come to a point where you just want to give up. You're still obviously going to try, but you're not thinking about it as much, and then it just happens. So that was our experience with Riley. So eventually happened, and I remember taking the test, and I think I was just like gobsmacked to be honest. I think a bit shell shocked, because you wait for so long to see positive and it's always negative, and then you're like, oh my god, this is actually happening. So fast forward, let's say 12 weeks, a normal pregnancy. I had really bad sickness with Riley. Then trying to think, I don't think there was any other like alarm bells. Everything was normal, kind of textbook pregnancy, should we say. Then I had my 12-week scan, which was so excited. That was like our first time of seeing Riley. And he was so cute. Like, I'll have to see if I can insert some pictures in this video. If not, I'll have to insert them at the end. So when he was laying in my tummy on the ultrasound, you could see his hand, and it was such a clear picture of him, which we were so amazed by, and the amount of comments we was getting, like, oh my god, you've got such a clear scan picture. So yeah, that was, I always remember that, and I was so happy that, like, you know, he's growing. Then it got to the 20-week scan. Everything again completely fine. They check him, and that's more of the like more in-depth scan is the 20-week scan. Sorry, I can't get my words out. So obviously they check, like, you know, their heart and all their organs. Everything completely fine. The only thing we found is he had an anterior placenta, if I remember rightly. So basically, as he's inside of me, the placenta was cushioning him basically. So like, let's say he was kicking, I couldn't feel it. Like, I generally, obviously I knew he moved inside of me, because every scan we went to you could see him like wiggling around, but I never felt his kicks. So that was like really sad, and really difficult with it being like my first pregnancy. You know, I didn't know what to expect. So yeah, I was a bit upset that, you know, it cushioned his kicks, because I didn't know that, you know, there was anything wrong. Whereas these days they tell you to like really monitor the movement, and reduced movement can be like warning signs something's going off. So anyway, so that was sad, but you know, I just thought people just told me the further you go on, you will eventually feel his kicks because you'll get stronger. So me being me, I'm just completely oblivious to any dangers or anything. I'm just like living with the fairies, should we say, like just happy and not knowing that anything could go wrong now, because you always get to everyone always says don't tell anyone until you're 12 weeks, because you know, apparently the whole stigma is once you get past 12 weeks you're completely fine, which is not true at all. So in my opinion now, obviously from going with what happened to Riley, is you're never safe. You are never safe at any stage, whether you are 4 weeks pregnant or you are 40 weeks pregnant. So yeah, that in my opinion, you're just never safe. Anything can happen at any point. Not that I'm trying to scare everyone. I do apologize if any pregnant people are watching this. I don't mean to scare you. It's just, you know, it's so much better when they're out in your arms and you can physically see them. You can't obviously see what's happening in this. So anyways, got a bit distracted there. So 20-week scan, completely fine. Then because it was my first pregnancy, I think if I remember rightly, you have like more midwife appointments, I think it was back then. Obviously we're talking about 11 years ago, so I'm purely going off memory right now. I did used to have notes, but they're in my old phone, so I haven't got my notes with me. But anyways, so I remember around, I think it was around 22, or I think it was 23 weeks, we had a wedding to go to. I don't know, it just always sticks in my head. And obviously I was pregnant with Riley, and I was completely fine and I felt like myself. But then the week after, around 24 weeks, I don't know why, but people that have told me it's probably my mother's intuition, but something just told me something wasn't right anymore. I just had a weird feeling, but then in my head I'm thinking maybe it's just in my head because it's, you know, a new pregnancy. I've never been pregnant before, so I didn't really think much of it, to be honest. So that was around 24 weeks, and then it was 25 weeks where we had the midwife appointment. So I told Ryan, I think I remember telling Ryan, like, I felt a bit off, like something feels a bit off, but he says, oh, everything should be fine. I had no bleeding, no pain, no like obvious signs anything's wrong. So he said we should just, like, we both agreed to just wait to have the midwife appointment and check there. So then we go to the midwife appointment, and this is kind of where, looking back, it was alarm bells, but at the time it wasn't. So we walk in, you know, you do all your obs, everything's fine, blood pressure, urine, all of that is completely fine. And then I think I asked, or she was checking the heartbeat. I think because I said something like, I've not felt baby move. Is that normal? And then I told her about my placenta. She says, yeah, it probably is. So anyway, she tried to find the heartbeat, and she's trying and she can't find the heartbeat. So instantly I'm obviously a bit, oh, you know, she can't find the heartbeat. But then she was like, oh, it's okay, sometimes we can't find it, nothing to worry about, see you at your next one. So I go off like, oh, okay, you know, health professional, you know, you believe everything they say, and everything's fine. Oh no, not. So I remember we left the midwife, and I had at that point, I think I was craving like a ham salad cob. I always loved ham salad cobs, between ham salad or Greg's with Riley. So I think we went to get some lunch. I was walking back home, and I think both mine and Ryan's phones were in our pocket. They must have been on vibrate, and for some strange reason we just got our phone out, and we had so many missed calls off the midwife, and I was like, oh, this is a bit odd. So then I think she ended up actually speaking to Ryan, because I didn't realise my phone was on silent, and she was basically saying, I'm just wanting you to nip to the hospital as soon as possible. I've just booked you in for a scan, just to double check everything's fine. Like, basically, she kind of seemed like she was reassuring us that everything is fine, basically. And not to worry us or anything, but she just wanted to double check. Okay, so at this point I'm starting to now be a bit panicky, because I'm thinking, well, if everything was fine, why, you know, why do we have to go to the hospital? So that, when it started kicking in, I was like getting really anxious and nervous. So I remember going back home. I think at this point we couldn't drive, so I had to ring my mum, I think it was, and to see how soon could she come down to pick us up. And she wasn't too long. And then we went to the hospital. I don't know. So we go to the hospital. I remember sitting in the waiting room. So the waiting room is basically the waiting room you've been in for your 12-week scan, your 20-week scan, and everyone else. So you're basically surrounded by all pregnant women. And we go into one of the side rooms where we get a scan, and then, is it sonographer was like, she said, oh, were you the one with the bleeding? And I was like, oh no, I've not had any bleeding. And we lay down on the bed, and this is the bit where I absolutely regret to this day, is I didn't look at the screen. I couldn't bring myself to look at the screen because I was so nervous. I was just like laying there and just staring at the wall, whereas Ryan was at the side of me and the screen was here, and like I just couldn't bring myself to look at the screen, which I hate now, because like I always just wanted to see what he looked like. Ryan said he just looked still, like there was no movement. It just basically looked like one of his scan pictures. So that was really heartbreaking. And the sonographer didn't even say sorry. I always remember her words. She just said, there's no heartbeat. Not even, I am so sorry, there's no heartbeat. Just, there's no heartbeat. So yeah, that was a bit of a shock. Like, you know, I'm newly pregnant. I think I was about 18, 19. I'm like, you know, I'm quite young. My first pregnancy, I'm nervous, and she just basically said there's no heartbeat, not even sorry. So I will always remember that. I'm so annoyed at myself I can't remember her face, so I would never know who said it to me, unless it's obviously medical records, but I'll never forget that. Like, I don't understand how, no matter what you go through in your life, if you're telling someone their baby has died, I feel like it's just normal to say I'm sorry. So yeah, that was a bit, you know, harsh. Then they have to have a second person come in. Second person said, and she did actually say, I'm so sorry, there's no heartbeat. And then at that point, I think I just broke down. I remember being on the phone. I think I was on the phone to my sister, and then I rang my mom, told them, and then I was just a mess, obviously. And then I was feeling sick. I think it was like I was panicking and anxious, and just all of the emotions. I was a mess. And then I think, like, apart from being told, you know, he's died and there's no heartbeat, walking out of that room has got to be up there with like the second most awful thing I've had to do. So obviously I'm crying, I'm a mess. I come out and there's just a room full of pregnant people, and then, you know, when people come out of rooms, everyone looks up, so everyone's just like staring, and I'm just like a mess, crying, head down. And then I get took into like a quieter room where they then go through everything that's going to happen. So that's basically like pregnancy to how I found out that he passed away. Right, so then this is like, should we say like part two? I had like so many doctors and nurses coming in and explaining everything. I think at this point I remember vividly like sitting in the room. It was just like completely blank room with like a sofa and a chair, and I just was like, I don't know why, but in my head I just wanted to run away. Like, I literally wanted to just scream and run away and just be like left alone. I didn't want anyone around me. I didn't want anyone to talk to me. Like, I just wanted to run away, but obviously I couldn't, and I had to stay there. And then I was explaining that I have to take this pill that will hopefully, I don't know if it was either soften my cervix or naturally try and get the ball rolling on labour. So I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, or what pill she gave me or what it was. I generally I just wanted to get out of the hospital. So I was in there for a while, and then was eventually allowed to go, gave leaflets. And I remember coming home, and I think there was like Coronation Street, and I remember like sitting on the sofa with Ryan, and like the TV's on, and I'm just thinking, like, my whole world has just come crumbling down, and like I just feel like, what is the point? And then I think the worst thing about it is you want everything else to stop. You want the world to stop. You want, you know, everything to pause. And why is everyone acting normal when your whole world's just come crashing down? And I just almost just sat there like, how are they on the TV? You know, I was thinking of all these like things like, why are they still on the TV? Why is everyone not just come to a halt? You know, you kind of think of these things in your head because your world's basically, you know, come crashing down. You expect everybody else's to, and obviously it doesn't. You know, everyone else still lives their lives. I think this was on the Wednesday, I think I remember rightly, because I think Riley was born on a Friday. And I got told, I have like, I think it's a Thursday, that basically, you know, just get prepared because you'll be coming to the hospital on Friday. And Wednesday night, I think it was, I didn't have much sleep, obviously, as you can imagine, and I just remember like holding my belly, and basically it's a weird feeling, but it's like I just didn't want him to come out. Like, I know he's not alive anymore, but soon as he comes out, he's no longer going to be with me, like physically. So I was just like praying, like I just didn't want him to come out. Like, these are like, I've got like that night, and then Thursday night with him, and then Friday he's gonna be out. So I remember just like crying. I think I was just a mess. Like, that's all I can just say, an absolute mess. I was really, obviously, you know, heartbroken, depressed. All these thoughts are going through my head. Obviously giving birth, you know, I've never gave birth before. So I remember that. I remember taking some pictures. Again, I'll try and insert them. Which my tummy looked like normal, but it just looked a bit like, obviously, you know, you've got your tummy and it's like, you know, round and tight. It just seemed a bit like saggy, if you can imagine that. I don't know, that was just in like my eyes. So anyway, so that was Wednesday. Then we're going on to Thursday. I'm actually proud of myself, I'm not crying. I think it's been so long, I can like talk about it and not cry. So I am emotional, like I'm an emotional person, but I've learned to hold it in, like, which is sad because I have to hold it in so much that, yeah, I have to hold it in. That's like, it takes a lot for me to like let it out, and then when I do like get emotional and let it out, I can't stop crying. So I'm trying my best to hold it in. Going on to Thursday, I remember that day was just a blur. It was an absolute blur. I remember like going in the shower. Really, I think we had to do food shopping, which looking back, it's like, what was we thinking? So basically, obviously I'm quite strict with routine, and Thursdays, I think back then, was food shopping days, and I just did the food shopping. Like, I generally can't believe, looking back, that I did the food shopping. Like, I was just a mess. And I remember as well that the lady that served us, she was quite rude, and it's like, obviously I've had the experience of the sonographer, you know, being rude, and then the shopkeeper from Tesco being rude. And it's like, I don't know why, but it's like, you never know what someone's going through, so just be kind no matter what. Obviously she didn't know what was going through, but I just thought, yeah, she was a bit not nice, shall we say, in the politest way. So I remember we did shopping, and then I think we was on the mission to find Riley an outfit. So I was pretty organised in my pregnancy, just to add. He had his cot, he had his wardrobe, he had his drawers, he had his pushchair, his car seat, bottles. What else did he have? He had a few like blankets, but I think it was the following month. I think obviously this was in October. I think it was the November payday. I was going to buy him clothes. I was going to like kit him out of all these clothes. So we currently didn't have many clothes in for him. I was only 20, I think it was 25 weeks and a few days, I think I was, with Riley. Obviously he's going to be very small, so I remember going into mother care, and I don't think I went in. I think I just stood outside, because like, I don't think mother care is around anymore. I think it's in Boots, but it's not like a shop. But back then in the shop, it's just babies, baby pushchairs, baby cots, baby clothes, like, you know, pregnancy things. And I just think I couldn't cope in the shop. So I remember, I don't know if I remember rightly if I went in or if I just stayed outside. Either one, I know it was hard. It was with Ryan, his mom and his mama, and they managed to find him a little premature outfit, but obviously, bless him, that was massive on him. And I think I still have that upstairs. Right, sorry about that, I just ran to go and get his memory box. So we do have quite a lot of things around the house of Riley, and this is one of his special things. I don't know if you can read it. It says, "Our angel Riley." My mum did that. She made his funeral flowers. So if I just show you, it smells like the hospital, like the candle the hospital gave us in this box. So this was the little outfit that his mum brought. Right, I can't seem to find a tag. I was trying to find a tag. Oh wait, the tag's down here. To show you what size. So this was an early baby up to £5, and I think that's the smallest we could find. But we never put this on Riley. Yeah, so he would have looked massive. I mean, this would have looked massive. He probably would have laid like in the middle. You had to hold him with 2 hands, but he was nowhere near this big. He was, so this is for like a £5 baby. He was 15 ounce. He was just under a pound. So obviously you can, you know the difference. Then this little hat, he did wear this little hat, so it is like stained, if you can see. So it's kind of like stained because it was on him. And obviously when babies die, they deteriorate, and he was leaking blood, so it's basically got his stains of blood, and I've washed it, and that's why they're stained. But he did wear that. There's pictures of him. The most popular picture is with this on his head, and it says bear hugs, I think, and he wore that. So that's very sentimental. So that's what she brought, and the staff at Mothercare was so nice. So we finally got some nice people, and so she brought this. It's a hand and footprint mold, but it's not lasted great. If I show you, I don't know why, but if you can see in it, it's gone all like rusty in the back, and I don't know why it's got that patch on it either, because that wasn't there. So I don't know if it's just because it's been in storage or what, but it's got his that's how big his little foot was. So it's like basically like probably like the size of my thumb, and then his little handprint is about there, if you can see, and then my mum wrote Riley. I don't know why it's got that brown bit. But looking back, I wish we could have got his hands and feet casted. That like memory kit and the baby girl were from Mothercare, and I think my mother-in-law / Ryan's mom, she told them, and they gave it as for free, which it's just those little like acts of kindness that stick with you. Obviously the sonographer and the shopkeeper will stick with me forever, that how rude and nasty they were or came across to me, and then at Mothercare, how nice and kind. Like, they wasn't obviously that expensive, but it was just the fact of someone being kind while you're literally, I'm going for the worst time of my life. So yeah, I don't know, I feel a bit emotional now. It was really nice, really nice that they did that. So I remember we had Riley, I think we took a card and some chocolates to the store to just say thank you so much. So go to Friday, and I was really sick. I remember Thursday night my mum stayed because she was coming with us to be there for me, and I was really sick all night. I remember all morning. So I don't know if it was like the pill, that whatever the pill was like working and doing its thing, but I'm such a sicky person when it comes to pregnancy. Yeah, I'm sick like pretty much all the way through pregnancy and then labour. I don't think I was in a bit of pain. I think it was just sickness. So anyways, fast forward, Ryan's auntie Kate came, picked us up to take us to the hospital. I remember, like, you know, packing my bags, taking my pillow. He had like my pillow, which I really do like feel like if, you know, you're going through a similar thing, taking a bit of something from home, it gives you a bit of home comfort. And then we was a bit like, we had a bit of should we say miscommunication from the hospital. So we didn't know where to go, and obviously, you know, it's my first pregnancy, I don't really know like the hospital. So we ended up going to the induction suite. I think it was called ABC back then. And so we went down there, we got in there, and was like, we were just sat in the waiting room, and just something, I don't know why, but it felt really off in there. It just seemed a bit dark, gloomy, and yeah, the vibe, I don't know why, I just sensed like it wasn't a great vibe, which I don't know why, because it generally just is an induction suite. But anyways, the woman was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, you're not supposed to be here. I'm guessing this is an induction suite for people who babies are alive. So they didn't, my local hospital didn't have a bereavement suite, so there wasn't a place that is away from everybody else, and it's non like kind of medical, you know, you got the baby things in the corners when they come out. And basically I didn't have that. I was in a normal labour room on the labour ward, where I was numbered room number 10, and I always remember that room. And that was the room, and it's a really tiny room, and I remember they had like a baby thing in the corner, and they took that out, which is sad, because like it just, when they take something out of the room, it just kind of hits you like, you know, it's real, and he's not going to be alive, he's not going to need that. So that was quite sad. And then I remember the first midwife, not 100%, I don't think I can remember her name. I have got the names of the other midwives on my phone. But the first midwife, I think she was coming towards like the end of her shift, and she was a bit, how do you say, not like friendly, should we say, like, you know, some people aren't like as kind and friendly. Like, she was professional, but she was just a bit like, you know, getting to the point. So she basically put the, I think it was a tablet I had, and because of my weight, I was very, very skinny back then. There was like this induction tablet, and it's just like a circle. She had to cut some off, because she thought giving me the whole thing, it's too much, I don't need the whole thing because I'm so small. So I think I remember cutting a quarter of it off, I think, and then they have to insert that, and then nothing really happened. So this was around maybe 9-10 o'clock, and nothing was really happening apart from I was so sick, I just couldn't stop throwing up. And I remember this is where, again, it was with the first midwife, she wasn't as like gentle, should we say, and she just like injected me in my leg with an anti-sickness, which I don't know if it did anything at that point, it might have done. Anyways, I remember the pain in my leg I had for months and months and months after having Riley, from the way she stuck it in my leg. Like, I don't know if she stuck it in a nerve or something, but it was awful. Anyway, she finished her shift, nothing was really happening. Then I think it was coming on to the night shift. I don't know if they start about 6 or 7, the night shift. So they came and introduced, you know, obviously there was keep an eye on me. At this point I had my mom, Ryan, my sister came, her boyfriend came, and then Ryan's mom. So at one point there was a lot of us in the room, and obviously they didn't really say anything, to be honest. They didn't say you can't have this many people, they just allowed it, I think, obviously under the circumstances. And then I remember, because nothing was really happening, I'm just literally laying in this bed, like I'm not moving, I'm not doing anything, so I'm not really helping labour progress, if you would say. So I remember the midwife was like, oh, maybe you should try and walk around. I'm like, I'm not being funny. But I'm in a ward full of pregnant women who, most of them, I would say probably all of them, I'm probably the only one at that time, babies died. Okay, so it's not really like, I understand, you know, now I understand, like, oh yeah, she was saying it, you know, to get it moving, but I'm like, I do not want to walk anywhere. I don't want to face anybody. Like, I just want to go into a hole and not come out. So anyways, after a while, literally nothing was happening, so I decided to go on a walk with my sister to the shop, which isn't far in our hospital. So anyways, I remember going on the walk, we went to the shop, and then I was getting so much pain. The pain was kicking in. I think that walk definitely helped, which I understand, you know, why they tell you, but you know, I don't want to walk, but it did do me some good. And then I remember, like, I think was paying, and I'm like, oh my god, these pains are so bad, I need to get back. Like, and then I think when we got back to the room, it was starting to ramp up quite a lot. And I think I remember my sister's boyfriend leaving, but then there was still obviously myself, my mom, Ryan, my sister, and Ryan's mom, Angie. We was all in the room, so all 5 of us. And then things just went really quickly after that. I was like needing to push, and obviously I wasn't, like, it's hard because he wasn't full term, so I don't know if I got to like 10 centimeters or however I got to. They wasn't really checking me as much because apparently it can increase infection and stuff, so something along the lines of that. I wasn't paying much attention, to be honest. And yeah, I remember like feeling really like immense amount of pain. And I remember them giving me, so I had gas in it, but that just makes me sick. And I remember them giving me, I think, is it diamorphine? Oh my god, that was awful. It was good, but then awful. So I was just like in and out, basically. I was high as a kite. Which probably in a way kind of helped because I'm not all there, you know, so I'm like in and out. Everyone else around me is just like, you know, crying and everything, whereas me, I'm just like, I am so drugged up, basically, which now I regret because I can't remember everything. I do remember like needing to push, and I remember pushing. At this point, I don't think there was any midwives in the room, and I'm like, I'm going to push, and then I'm like, no one's telling me what to do. Like, in my opinion, I thought you get told what to do. You get told when to push, when to not push. Obviously, first time, very young, first pregnancy, didn't have a clue. I just went with my body and I was pushing. You can't like not push anyway when you need to push. And then I remember him coming out, and it literally, like, I just remember thinking, I have just pooed. Like, I literally thought I just pooed, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed, like everyone's in the room. And I didn't. It was Riley, so obviously he was very, you know, he was limp and soft, and I remember just like him just coming out, and I remember my words, oh my god, I think I've just pooed. And it wasn't, it was him. And straight away, oh my god, I get a bit shocked. Straight away I wanted him on my chest, and I just wanted him there. And sorry, trying to keep it together. I just wanted him to stay on my chest basically forever. So he was on my chest, and Ryan cut the cord, and then he was just laying there on me for probably a couple of hours, which was nice. And I was just, again, I was so in and out of it. And I remember like my mom and everyone taking pictures, which now I'm so grateful for. Obviously back then, like if you've seen some of the pictures, you can tell I'm not with it. And I'm trying to keep my visions in, my eyes are going. I remember, like, you know, everyone around me, and like as I'm like in and out, I'm like, it's almost like you're asleep and then awake, asleep and awake. Everyone's just crying, and because he came so quickly, they wasn't really prepared, so they were like rushing in. And because obviously they're rushing in, I still had, everyone was still in the room. My sister seen him, Ryan's mum seen him, my mum seen him, obviously Ryan was there. So I had so many people in this room, and I tell you, this room was tiny. So tiny. You don't know how we all fit in there, to be honest, but it was nice in a way, you know. Everyone was in there, and everyone got to see him be born. And then I'd say after that, it was just, I was so tired. I think because of like the drugs, shall we say, being in me, I was so tired. And and then they did his weight and they measured him. And I remember this one thing. So basically this midwife, I think her name was Denise, she delivered Riley. It was like an oldish lady, and she was lovely. She was such a nice lady. I can't thank her enough for, like, you know, looking after me and helping deliver Riley. And then I think she had to go because Riley was born at 8:15 p.m. so he was born quite late. And yeah, I think she had to clock off, I think, at some point. I remember having a third midwife come in. She was like an oldish lady as well, and she was lovely. I can't fault for like the 2 last ones that was looking after me. They were so nice. And I do remember one of the midwives, which, like, looking back, I understand why they did it. But so they was checking him, and he was like, she was holding him, and I was just laying in the bed, and then she was like, her beeper thing went off. So when you're in the ward, I think, you know, the emergency, I think, you know, someone needed urgent help. So then I remember her just like putting him on the cold trolley, a cold metal trolley. It was just laying there. Like, at that point I was really angry, because I'm like, you know, I could be holding him. Like, I understand he can't feel because he's not alive, but the thought of him just on the laying there on the cold trolley always sticks with me. But luckily he wasn't there for long, and she came back in. I can't remember what she said. And then after that she got him dressed, and I always remember, I always call it like a little sock that he was in. So he was like, you could hold him with 2 hands, so he wasn't like tiny. He was quite long. He had arms, he had legs, he had fingernails. The only thing he didn't have is he was very like pink. He didn't develop like more of his skin tone, shall we say, or hair, until later in the pregnancy. Before I show you, I don't know if you want to like skip this bit. Some people don't like to see babies like this, but there's nothing graphic in the picture in my opinion, but just a little warning. This is our beautiful Riley. So this I made this picture, and then we got it printed off at his mum's. So remember you telling you about the hat. So this is the hat, and it was massive on him, and that's Ryan's hand. And he's so tiny, but as you can see, like, he had his little eyes, nose, little nostrils, his mouth, ears. His ears were so tiny, his little hands were so tiny. Like I said, he just didn't have like the typical colouring of, like, you know, he wasn't as pale, he was more red, and he didn't have any hair. But other than that, he was like a fully developed baby. See, this is what I was saying with me, and that's my pillow from home, which really was like a comfort. And he's just like, can't really see him much there, he was like really squished in. But that's the blanket we put him in, and when we got it back, we washed it for him, and then he got laid to rest with it. These are the teddies. That teddy I've still got upstairs. It's got a baby grow that he laid on, so it's got his scent and everything on it, and that's still upstairs. And then my sister's got that one. So I don't know if you can really see, but he's in like the hat, which I've just shown you, but he's in like a little sock, and then they wrapped him in this like knitted I don't know what it is, like a knitted blanket. So it was like really cozy and cute. There's another one here, but it's got some blood on it, and I don't know if people are gonna be like, don't want to see that. Yeah, I can't seem to find one with that, because basically, because Riley passed, from his post-mortem, they think that he died a week before. So because of that, he was deteriorating a bit inside of me. So he was leaking blood, and only when he came out, he wasn't like when he first was born, he wasn't, but he deteriorated quite quickly. He had already passed like a week before, they say, which then comes back to my intuition feeling something was off. If you remember me saying around 24 weeks. So definitely it was like something my body knew something wasn't right. The post-mortem results, I'll tell you those. So we had to wait, I don't know, he was born in So he was born on the 10th of October 2014, which his date is just always in my brain. It's 10/10/14, easier. So bless him. And the post-mortem results basically said they couldn't find anything. There was nothing wrong with him. He was a perfectly healthy little baby. His placenta was intact. It was perfect. Nothing wrong with it. They basically just put it down to, they just said maybe his placenta wasn't working as it should have done, and that is it. It's just like, I think it was so frustrating because you kind of want to, like, you want a reason, like, oh, it's because he was he had this problem that we didn't know about, or it was something else. Like, literally nothing. Like, and it's annoying because do like really in-depth testing. I feel like if you, like, you know, paid privately, if we didn't have the funds at the time, they would have, like, you know, done a more in-depth testing for it. So that was really sad, and it was scary as well because we're thinking, well, if he was perfectly fine, then, you know, future pregnancies, you know, they're not going to be fine. Like, are they going to be fine? And then this was going to happen again. So it was very, like, worrying time. And he basically just said that further pregnancies, I suggest you go on a low dose of aspirin to thin the blood, to make sure, like, the blood's going through the placenta. And that's basically it, really. So yeah, it's hard, and it has been hard, you know, pregnancies after Riley being on the aspirin. You know, it's like, I'm not, you know, I'm glad I'm on the aspirin. Yeah, it's just really scary not knowing, you know, what the real reason is, and it's still to this day, like, it just stresses me out. Like, I really wish, like, I knew the reason why he went. He was such a loved little boy. He still is a loved little boy, and it's just so heartbreaking. We visited him loads of times, bless him. We visited him the day after, and then we wasn't able to visit him because he had his post-mortem, which that was really sad, because I remember visiting him in the chapel of rest at the hospital, and he had the Y cut out, yeah, like, basically, you know, where they cut him down here and then down, and then, like, they sewed him back up, so his teeny tiny little stitches were really heartbreaking. That was really sad, but I needed to get a post-mortem to, you know, have an answer why. Not that I really got that, and for future pregnancies. And then he was finally moved to the funeral place, which, because he was born so early, the hospital funded the funeral, so the entire funeral we just had to buy the flowers, which are, like, to this day I'm so grateful for. I don't know if they still do it. I do hope they do, but it was just amazing. That's, like, one thing, you know, when you're going through this, you've not got the financial on top of that. I remember he had a white little coffin. I don't think I've got any pictures of his coffin. I can't seem to find them. So I remember he had a white coffin. I think I chose gold. But it was really hard because I think I did most of the, like, funeral stuff, because we had to choose songs and his coffin, like, his flowers and all that stuff. And I think what's really hard is, like, Ryan really struggled with that bit, because he was like, he doesn't want to, he shouldn't have to choose a coffin for his son. So that was really hard. So I think I mainly chose these songs, which he had Heaven by Beyonce as one of his songs, and then he had Bye Bye by Mariah Carey, I think it was, and that one, both of those songs just broke me, so they're very special to me, remind me of the day. And then we only had, like, close family. At the time I was very angry with the world, and I didn't really allow some family members to go to Riley's funeral, which now looking back is probably, like, you know, someone like my relationships with family members went downhill. I think I was just not in the right frame of mind. I was angry. I hated everyone. I hated everything. It was just a very dark place. So I think some families still, like, hold resentment towards me still to this day from me not allowing them to be at Riley's funeral. But I was just so angry. I just didn't want anyone or anything around me. So certain people that, like, went, and I wouldn't have necessarily invited them. Some people I didn't really have a say with. But yeah, it was a beautiful, you know, funeral, but heartbreaking. But also he did get cremated, so I didn't have a burial for Riley, because my reasons being is I wanted him with me. So I wanted to bring his ashes home and him be in our house with us, where he should always have been. Whereas, you know, no offense to, you know, people that do burials, but in my head as a mom, I just thought my baby is going to be outside, and when it rains and it's cold and he's outside, and like my brain was just thinking, obviously he doesn't have feelings in like, you know, he's not alive anymore, so he's not going to feel the cold. But yeah, in my head I was basically, I don't want my baby outside. So he is cremated, and he's just over there, bless him, in his cabinet, with all of his pretties. He has so many things in that cabinet. I need to polish it, but I'm so scared because it's glass. Everything's just glass in there. But yeah, so I'll have to show you his cabinet one day. It's really beautiful. He has his little garden outside, and then obviously we've done the business inspired by Riley. We've set up that business. We've been going for about 4 years now, and keeping his memory alive, and we're bringing comfort, and you know, people can remember their babies and their loss, and turning our loss into a positive and helping people. So yeah, I don't know if that's why, you know, like he went, so we would eventually start this business and eventually, you know, helping loads of people. I think we've had probably about over 1,000 orders of people, and we've heard people's stories, and yeah, it's really heartwarming but really sad at the same time. So I do need to do a video on his business, I mean on our small business, but I thought I'd just finish off by showing you these. So these are what we got from the hospital, and these are his handprints. So it says always loved and never forgotten. So this, we got 2 of these. So these are his little hands. So his hands wasn't like flat out. They were more like, his fingers wasn't like stuck together. His fingers had separated at that point. But because he was deteriorating, they were stuck a bit more. So as you can tell his little fingers there. There's that one, and then I don't know if this one. And then again, this one, you can see his little hand. So if you can see, obviously how tiny his little hands are. So obviously I'll get my thumb. I've got quite small hands as well. My thumb basically was like the size of his hand. And Ryan's got his, Riley's hand and footprint on his chest, which is really nice. It's like his actual size of them. And then his little feet. These are his tiny little feet. Again, it's probably like tiny, like width of my thumb, if you can see. So he was very, very tiny. And then this one, I think that one like smudged a bit. And then what else we have in here? So we have a bunch of his photos. I have so many photos of him. And then we have, like, I'll show you a bit of what's in his memory box if you want. We have this little teddy. I think my mum got in this. It smells of the candle. It's a cute little teddy that's in his memory box. Then there's this one. We got this with the hospital. So when we had Riley, we got this memory box. And this little teddy, he had one with him when he got cremated. So yeah, we both have one each. Then he has this little grandson one. I think this is from Ryan's mum. Then I don't know, I'm guessing Ryan's mama did this because she does like crochet, or I do apologize if it's somebody else, but he has this in his little memory box. So freaking cute. And then he has this camera, which I haven't got developed, which I really should. This camera was in here, and these got photos of Riley on it. God knows why I've never done that. And then he has these cuddles with love at this sad time. So this company, I don't know if they're still going, but they basically, this was his it's like his blanket and then his little sock, bless him. And I think this is his tags. Yeah, so he's got his little tags in this cute little box. Don't think he ever wore his tags. No, he never wore his tags. They were massive. They were too big for him. They just looked very silly. I don't know if there was on, so yeah, it says infant boy 10/10/14 at 8:15. So that's, and then it's just got our previous address and his NHS number. This is a candle. I don't think I'll ever burn this. It smells so nice. Not that you can smell it. I don't know why I just did that. But this is basically what his box smells like, and this reminds me of when he died. Then we've got a letter from my brother that he wrote to Riley. Hospital tags in here, in the hospital. And then he's got his measurements on here. So this was a baby's size. So his head was, so that's how big his little head was. It was 20.5 centimeters, I think that is. Look how tiny his little head was. It's so cute. It's so tiny. So yeah, that's his little head. And then they give you like a little notebook, which I don't think we wrote anything in this notebook. No, we didn't write anything in the notebook, but the thought of it is nice. And this little ornament that says, when it rains, look for rainbows. When it's dark, look for stars. And then this was the company that we got the memory from. Isla was from the company that gifted the memory box, and we actually donated. Ryan's mum put a donation box in her shop, and we donated money and family donated money. I think it got to about just under 400. I think we donated, and we managed to donate like 12 memory boxes in Riley's memory to Memories of Isla. But unfortunately I don't think they run anymore, which is really sad. And guess how much I love you. I never actually read this to him, to be honest. Yeah, but the thought of it is really nice. I think I just wasn't in the right headspace. And then his funeral card flowers. I mean, funeral card from his flowers. And then in here, I think we've got I've got cards from people, and then his scan pictures. Oh look, that's his little in memory of Riley. So his funeral was the 6th of November 2014. That's so cute. Here's his little sign. Bless him. And then so if I show you his scan pictures, you see how clear the scan picture is. You can see his little hand. And I've put in here, first scan, I was 12 weeks and 5 days on the 15th of July 2014. And then I've got his other ones. This was the 9th of September 2014, and now was 20 weeks and 5 days. So as you can see, look, his little head, his little nose. And this at the top that you can see, this is the placenta. So that's like basically what was like cushioning his kicks. But I don't know if it's like me, but do you see like a face, or I think it's just my eyes. I'm really annoyed that the placenta was there, and I never got to feel him kick. Another one of him. It's so sad that these pictures, these ones are like the only ones I have of him actually alive. It's really sad. I felt like if I would have known, I probably would have got like a 4D one, and like, you know, got a better picture of him. And I would have just loved to have like more knowledge, and you know, if there was any warning signs of getting to the hospital, because even though he would have been born quite early, like at least I gave him like a fighting chance, you know. So it's just so heartbreaking, like overall, with a loss of a baby at no matter what like stage or age. It's just so heartbreaking, and it's just something that you're just never going to get over. Like, I am 12, I think it'll be 12 years since he passed this October, which is just crazy. Like 12 whole years have gone by. Just, yeah, it's mental. But like the pain is just still there. Like I can feel it like in my throat. Like, you know, you got like a lump in your throat, like with me just talking, I can feel the lump and like the instant tears that I'm holding back. And it's been like so long, and the pain is just so fresh and raw still. So I just personally, I don't think it's ever going to get, like, the pain's just never going to go. I would say, like, life does get, I wouldn't necessarily say easier, because every day is, you know, a new day. I would just say, like, yeah, if you're in the early stages of this, I literally would just say, take every day as it comes. Don't be too hard on yourself. Definitely seek therapy. Like, I don't think I would personally, like, be as strong, should I say, as I am today if I didn't have the therapy. And just talking to a complete stranger about yourself and Riley, then I don't think, yeah, I would be here. And then on top of that, she gave, our counsellor gave us help to conceive Lily, which Lily is my rainbow. And I think if it wasn't for having Lily, and she gave me like a purpose to, like, oh my god, my life, you know, I might have a purpose to live. Because once I lost Riley, I was in a very, very dark place. I basically was very close to ending my life, shall I say. I was at the point where I just didn't want to be alive anymore. Like, I genuinely had no point in living. I genuinely didn't see it. I would lay in bed, and I remember, and it's so sad to say, I would just pray to die. I was just laying there, like, I just want to die, like, and I'm crying, and I'm like, why, you know, why am I still here when my baby's not here? So that was really, really hard. It was a really, really hard time, and it was just heartbreaking. And Ryan had to go back to work like a couple of weeks after Riley died, and that was really hard because I was just like alone. But then I wanted to be alone. I didn't want anyone around me. But then it was hard because you're alone, if that makes any sense. It's like, it's just a reality of, like, you know, this is the new way of life, basically. And I think it took about 9 months, I think, after having Riley, when I conceived with Lily, I think. I did conceive in 2015 with Lily, because Lily was born in Feb 2016. And so between losing Riley and conceiving Lily, that part of my life was just very, very dark. I don't really remember much, to be honest. I remember just sleeping. I think I just slept so much. Luckily, I'm grateful, and I had family around me, and they'd come and visit, and, you know, I'd go out, but it's always just in the back of my head. I just wanted to escape life, basically. The concept of, like, wanting to run away, it was just, I just wanted to run away from everything. So yeah, it's definitely heartbreaking, but I am definitely proof that, you know, you can, you know, live again after such a heartbreak. And I've got 3 beautiful girls that keep me going. I'm very, very busy, shall we add, and I live a crazy, hectic life with them, but I wouldn't have it any other way. As much as they drive me crazy some days, like, it's just, I wouldn't change it for the world. I've always wished to be a mom. It's always been my one dream. I have, like, different dreams. My dreams always just wanted to be a mom ever since I was little. So, you know, I'm very, very grateful for the girls that I have. And yeah, that's basically Riley's story. I think I've missed a few things out. I think that I was in my previous one, like, visiting him and everything. That's, like, pretty much it. We did visit him quite a lot in the funeral place. He did deteriorate quite a lot, but it just wasn't, I didn't notice it, to be honest. Like, you just don't notice these things when it's your baby. So yeah, I think that's everything. I'm trying to think of some wise words. Definitely stronger than you think. The amount of times people have told me how strong I am, even though you don't feel like you're strong. I don't know what it's like unless you go through it. A lot of people have, like, said things, and, you know, it's really difficult. I think I can relate, and people can relate to me a lot if you've gone through the pain. It's just, you know, it's an unimaginable amount of pain. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Be easy on yourself. Take each day as it comes. I would totally seek therapy. I personally am all up for therapy, and speaking to somebody really definitely helped me. And then just finding like the little things in life to bring you joy. Just never give up. So hopefully I've helped somebody out there that's watching this. I'm always open to anyone that wants to chat or talk. I don't mind if anyone's got any questions. I'm happy to answer. I'm happy to answer anyone's questions that they have. But yeah, so basically that's like a better version of his story, and I've shown you some of his things. So yeah, so hopefully that's helped somebody out there, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.